Before you watch this video, ask yourself the question, do you love or do you hate J. Cole? Now, on one hand, there are a group of people who absolutely love J. Cole.
I love you.
They think that he is one of the smartest people in the hip hop space who has ever existed, and they think that every single thing he says is God sent. They think that he can do no wrong. But on the other hand, there are a group of people who absolutely despise J. Cole. They think that he is corny, and they think that he is just straight out
Terrible.
so today, we are going to be looking at J. Cole's entire catalog, from the mixtapes to the albums. Let's waste no time and let's talk some J. Cole.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
Coming in last place, we have For Your Eyes Only, and I know a lot of you are probably pissing, screaming, and ready to riot at this placement, but just hear me out. For Your Eyes Only is an embarrassing mess of an album. Now, before I shit on this thing, I will tell you what I love because there are some genuinely amazing moments on this project. The self-titled track is just mere perfection and literally holds this entire album up to a bar of quality in the first place. Like, it is the quality. You know what I'm saying? You do not even have this album anywhere near the rest of the other albums on this list if it isn't for this one song. It makes it go from being horrendous and laughable to, just being straight out bad. So the self-titled track is amazing. Do not get it twisted that I think that is bad. The track is painful, it's dark, and it's so well thought out from a storytelling perspective, and it should have been what the entire album was like. Now, with that said, you gotta get through 9 whole tracks, the entire album, to hear this great song, and the rest of this project just puts you through one of the bumpiest rides of any rap album that I have ever heard. A track like Immortal, it really does suck you into the world of the record as it grabs your attention, setting up for something greater to come. But the run of tracks from Deja Vu to Mentality to She's Mine Part 1, it's just terrible. Who let this man cook? Deja Vu is just a trash version of Bryson Tiller's Exchange, and Mentality,
oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Who let this man sing? Who let this man cook? Now, Change is another amazing song hidden within this pile of steaming hot garbage, and Neighbors is a musically round track that has a really strong message behind it. I definitely do appreciate that song and what it stands for. Now, just when this album finds its footing, you get to Fold and Close, which...
Stop! Cease and desist.
This is the worst song that J. Cole has ever made, and it's not up for debate. I would rather listen to somebody scraping chalk against a board than listen to this song. I would rather watch paint dry in silence than listen to this song. I would literally do anything over listening to this wretched song that is just terrible. It hurts to sit through those horrific vocals. So, all in all, For Your Eyes Only is a bad album because it just never finds its footing and it can't get out of its own mediocre and painfully boring way. There are powerful thinking points set up all over the album that are never explored, and there is so much boring, bland, and garbage material swarming any semblance of quality that I had to put this in last place despite its high. So yeah, this record is not good. It's a 4.5 out of 10. Coming in at number 9, we have J. Cole's debut studio album, The Sideline Story. Now, this project I don't hate at all, maybe outside of this bar.
But boy, you can't out-fuck me,
But when you look at this record as the bridge to Cole's mixtape days and his album days. It's just the awkward middle child that can't find any sort of identity. There are times this record wants to be a lyrically driven welcoming statement to hip hop's next great lyricist, but other times it just wants to make fun club music. And in theory, both of these styles actually fit Cole quite well, and they both work in small sample sizes, but in terms of the pacing and the flow of the entire record, you can tell that there was a lot of corporate meddling in the creation of this album. So yeah, this album is not terrible, and tracks like Nobody's Perfect with the one and only Missy Elliott and Rise and Shine, which if you played 2K16, I know you love that song. Those are classic, but overall, the lack of identity and direction on this project just makes it kinda mid. So yeah, I'm feeling a 5 on this one.
I ain't never fuck with J. Cole. Fuck that pussy ass.
At number 8, we have another super disappointing record from Cole with KOD. Now again, relax, let me speak. KOD is one of the most frustrating rap albums that I have ever heard in my life. Responding to the issue and crisis of addiction is a concept and a goal from Cole that is so ambitious, and it's so important, especially from a rapper who is as respected as him and who has a platform as big as him. But when you look at the execution of this album, what did Cole exactly say? Now, let's do a thinking exercise. KOD is an album that is supposed to be about addiction and all of the trouble it brings, but ultimately what we can take away from these issues and how we can better ourselves if we are suffering from addictive vices. But what is the message that Cole offers up to this issue? Now, I'll let you think. Now, I'm assuming your answer was either nothing or his big genius takeaway, which was to meditate and not medicate. And no matter what you said, all the problems with KOD are exposed just right there. How is your solution to an issue going to be a 3-word answer with no sort of exploration and development? Like, could you imagine writing an essay and just answering the prompt with an opening sentence and just handing it in? Because that's really what Cole does here. Just for the record, if you haven't heard an album that handles the topic of addiction really smartly, listen to Danny Brown's Atrocity Exhibition for reference, just to see how intricately other rappers have been able to explore this issue within their music, as most of the tracks on KOD don't offer any sort of commentary on addiction or anything centered around it at all. And when we finally do look at addiction and explore issues around it, we get some of the most surface level and dull commentary on addiction. And tracks like Photograph, tracks like ATM, I Am Looking at You. I mean, oh my god. And listen, don't even get me started on the alter ego of Kill Edward. This is hands down the worst alter ego in hip-hop history. The way Cole tries to create a mirror with his own personality through this character, it's straight out terrible. The first song we hear him on is The Cutoff, and this is literally the worst song I have ever heard. I remember listening to this album the day it came out in 2018. I was playing Fortnite, so seriously, I was listening to this album, and I still remember how painstaking and how nauseating that hook on The Cutoff was. Who let this man cook? Who let this idea get to the final album with this poor of an execution? Kill Edward does nothing besides add a shitty voice to a shitty album. He is not used as a lens to deliver thoughtful commentary towards these issues at all. He is useless in terms of what this album is trying to accomplish. The only records on this project that do anything for the narratives are Brackets, which is the most musically devoid song of any life that I have ever heard, and Kevin's Heart and Windowpane, which are actually great tracks that actually are some of Cole's best ever. And that's really the saving grace of this project, are tracks like Kevin's Heart and Window Pane, as they really do knock it out of the park, creating emotional tracks that really do explore the issues and the consequences of having different addictions. Now, the outro of this album, 1985, the iconic Little Pump disc, it is a super dope track, especially looking back at it, because Cole predicted how fragile his career was and where it would end up. But at this point, there was nothing that could have salvaged the wasted potential that was KOD. Again, this album is really frustrating, and I wish it was so much more. I wish it was higher up on this list. But yeah, it's a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, 2007, Cole dropped the come up.
Next up, we have J. Cole's first ever project, 2007's The Come Up, and all things considered, this was a really dope mixtape. Obviously, the sound quality feels a little cheap, and there's no real flow to this project, but Cole succeeded with this record where he needed to, and that all comes down to showing that he is a rapper worth investing in, and he is a rapper who will go on to do great things. I mean, he just kicks it over an array of 90s and 2000s hip-hop instrumentals, including some classics like Jay-Z's Dead Presidents, and he sells you with his heart and the sheer hunger and respect for the craft that he shows. I don't really have much else to say about this record, as again, it's pretty inoffensive and straightforward, but if you have never heard this, definitely check it out. It's worth the listen, and it's really enjoyable and really charming to see how far Cole has come from here. But yeah, I'm feeling a 6 out of 10 on this project. At number 6, we have J. Cole's next mixtape, 2009's The Warmup, and this tape just improves on everything, on every piece of the foundation that Cole laid out on The Come Up. J. Cole transforms from a rapper who can just spit really well to a hip-hop artist who can create music really well on this record. The songs on this tape have more elaborate structures with some pretty good hooks, and the production quality of the entire project takes a huge step up with way better mixing and way tighter sounds. While this isn't a perfect project, it's clear that Cole really did put his blood, sweat, and tears into the creation of this project, and it is a perfect display of his entire bag as a rapper. Also, this record has some of Cole's best mixtape cuts with tracks like Lights Please, Knock Knock, and 10 Dreams. So yeah, this mixtape is really good. It's a 7 out of 10.
Let's move to the top 5.
Cracking the top 5, we have J. Cole's sophomore studio album, 2013's Born Sinner, and while the Sideline Story was a kind of weird stutter step into the commercial music world for J. Cole in terms of his artistry, this felt like the true welcoming statement to the rapper that we all know as Cole today. Born Sinner is a record that just feels so massive in its scale. Cole raps from a ton of different places on this record, which overall gives us a really dynamic performance of him where we really get to understand him in a more personal manner than almost all of his other records. The production on this project also pushes this feeling across as it manages to encompass so many sounds and conventions while all feeling like it's under the same roof and branch of music. There is so much Cole addresses on this record, and I really think that the track Let Nas Down pretty much addresses the entirety of what this album represents. It addresses the controversy of Cole's Sideline Story album, as Nas didn't like his track Workout. He thought it was too poppy, so then Cole makes this song to apologize to Nas. You know the story, but I really do think that this kind of serves as the narrative compass for the entire project. Born Sinner, it's all about temptation. J. Cole explores the vices of love, wealth, and power, and shows how, despite the fact that somebody will always be tempted and even tarnished by these forces, that they can remain pure and on the right path. And now that I think about it, this record does a better job at exploring KOD's themes than KOD does also. Listen, I don't know, but everywhere I turn in Cole's discography, I just find another way to hate on that piece of shit. But yeah, Born Sinner, it's a 7.5 to me. J. Cole's records are getting really good from here. Cracking the Mount Rushmore spot, we got Friday Night Lights, which is the third and final installment of J. Cole's original mixtape trilogy. Now, as far as mixtapes go, this mixtape is truly legendary, with Cole doing everything he did on the warm-up just a little bit better. His pen is sharper, he really understands how to connect his experiences with the listener's sensibilities at this point, and the beat selection on this project is just otherworldly. I mean, Cole was in his bag on this project. He raps over Didn't You Know on track 2. I mean, who let this guy cook? Please, this is the J. Cole that I love. The soulful score of this project just gives it this sense of finality to this era, which also is just so satisfying. Another aspect that makes this record really special is that Cole reaches the pinnacle of what he can do with his own unfiltered and uncompromised vision. And what I mean by that is nobody was meddling with Cole's projects. He didn't need to put songs on his records like Workout, so there's none of those awkward pop tracks or songs that need to sell records. Cole is just rapping for sport, and as hip-hop fans in hip-hop culture, this is the ultimate thing that you can see from an MC. I mean, he's rapping purely to excite and to incite reactions that are powerful within the people. He has no label, he's not pleasing anybody, and this is really just what makes this project feel like this fiery, undeniably great vision. So J. Cole really did hit it out of the park with this project. I don't know if his wordplay really ever got better from here, and his vicious demeanor, it just adds this sense of urgency to this record that just feels so captivating. The fact that this mixtape, it feels so fiery and it feels so exciting, yet it also has a sense of finality to this trilogy. It's just amazing at all this record can embody. So yeah, I'm going to be giving it a 7.5 also, and it is one of Cole's best projects and hands down his best mixtape.
3.
Cracking the top 3, we got J. Cole's latest album, maybe depending on when you're watching this video, but as of now, it is the off season, and remember how I said that Friday Night Lights was the peak of Cole's raw, fiery, and unfiltered rapping ability? Well, this project kind of takes away the crown from it, as it really is a spiritual successor to Cole's original trilogy of mixtapes. Now, if you don't believe me, just look at the cover. I mean, you see the basketball symbolism, it clearly lines up, and that was clearly intentional. But what makes the offseason so special is that it is the ultimate piece of intersectionality in Cole's career. J. Cole encompasses the fiery rapping ability that made his old mixtape so special, while also being able to put this untamed lyrical fury into an album that is super well paced and put together. Cole is rapping for sport on this project, and that is very clear. I mean, some of the tracks are just straight bar fests with no hooks. I mean, look at Applying Pressure or Punching the Clock, for example, but even through all of these moments that just highlight Cole's pen game in a way that we haven't seen in over a decade to this point, Cole is able to weave in some of his most introspective tracks with the soul-shattering Let Go My Hand and straight-up emotional tracks like Clothes and Hunger on Hillside. I mean, those songs are beautiful. If you want to listen to one project that shows every single aspect of J. Cole's greatness, The Offseason is your album, and while I want to give this record a little bit of a higher score, the absolute piece of shit that is 100 mil is going to leave this record sitting in the 7.5 club. Cole and auto-tune and singing, they just don't go together. I don't know when this guy's going to learn. So yeah, we're giving this record a 7.5. Now at number 2, I don't know if anybody saw this coming, so you may say that I subverted your expectations, but we got J. Cole's Truly Yours EP, album, mixtape. I don't frickin' know. Listen, these projects were originally released in 2 separate EPs, but then they were merged into one full-length project, but you can only find it exclusively on Tidal, but you can also find it on YouTube if you want. So, yeah, this project is a little bit confusing, and if you haven't been a fan of Cole since 2013, I don't know if you've heard this project, but if you haven't, I put you on. I'm literally blessing your ears because this record is phenomenal. Truly Yours. It's hands down the most overlooked and special project in Cole's entire catalog. While J. Cole can sometimes on his albums be a little corny or fake deep, as we talked about earlier, I told you it would connect. This project shows him in the complete opposite light. While the mixtapes and the offseason have Cole's most ferocious lyrical performances, Truly Yours has the most passionate and with the sensibility and the structure of a record like Born Sinner. Every single track on this project is just such a joy and an experience in itself to listen to. Cole raps over a blend of original and other iconic beats on this project, and even when he steps on the musical shoulders of a track like Common's Go, he manages to leave his mark on these iconic anthems in ways that he never has, and in ways that really no other rapper could even come close to when they try to touch legendary beats. So, for being a complete beauty and really just a love letter to everything hip hop, Truly Yours is getting an 8 out of 10. I could say more, but just listen to it and enjoy it and just have this experience that you will never get back. I guarantee you this will probably be the most fun you ever have with a J. Cole record.
1, go!
And at number 1, have you guessed it? It's the album you all expected. 2014 Forest Hills Drive. This album is just different. J. Cole doesn't just give us another album or another body of work here. He gives us the album. A body of work that is bigger than himself and one that will stand the test of time way after we're gone. Wet Dreams is still the most cringy story that I have ever heard in all of hip hop, but everything else about this album is purely amazing. Besides that Wet Dream story, it is so bad. I mean, come on, dude. It's the second track. You got to talk about getting a boner in math class. Like, it just, Cole. Listen, J. Cole holds us so close to his soul here, and he pens some of his best songs ever. He's not afraid to show any of his scars, and this is what resonates emotionally with listeners. '03 Adolescence sets the principle that Cole is not holding anything back here, and he just runs with this. A song like Tale of Two Cities or Fire Squad, they manage to be fiery bangers, but they also hold so much narrative weight, and this album has songs like No Role Models at the heart of it. One of the greatest hit songs of the 2010s, but a track that has such a strong message and one that really embodies something deeper than any hit song ever could imagine, for the most part. And between all of these hits and all of the action, there are songs that will touch your heart in ways that a lot of music will never. And I'm looking at the track Love Yours in this example, a song that will change your entire perspective of your situation. You can say what you want about J. Cole. You can say that sometimes his messages may be too direct, or sometimes he hits things a little too hard on the head and kind of misses the point, but what J. Cole is really good at is finding connections with his listeners and throwing out enough that people will gravitate towards him and understand his struggles and be able to connect it to their own in a way that can affect their own life. And at the end of the day, that's what music is all about. J. Cole astounds us with a body of work that is so personal to both his emotions and his experiences. He guides us through some of the most pivotal moments in all of his life, all to unveil to us his philosophies and everything that just makes him so relatable and beloved. Forest Hills Drive is without a doubt the best work that J. Cole has ever made. And yeah, it's an 8 out of 10. And I will say this, it would have been an 8.5 if it wasn't for that god-awful story on Wet Dreams. So there you have it, a semi-comprehensive look at the career and catalog of J. Cole. So, when I look at myself and I gotta ask the question, do I love J. Cole or do I hate Jermaine Cole? Well, I'm somewhere in the middle. Listen, I don't hate the guy by any means, but he's also not one of the greatest rappers of all time. He doesn't compare to a Kendrick Lamar or any of the other greats that we will probably look at later in this series. Cole is just a really good rapper, and that is fine. He's done great things in his career, but even his peaks, they're not as high as some other rappers' peaks who often get compared to him. So yeah, Cole's alright. He's cool. I like him. But let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with my ranking, or was I way too harsh? Please voice your opinion in the comments and let me know who you want to see me do this type of video with next. This was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you sticking around to the end. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. It's free to do, and it helps me out a ton. I mean, if you're here at this point, you gotta want to see more, so I appreciate your time. Mr. F, fantastic hip hop. See you in the next video.